Thank the good Lord that Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League has been such an abysmal failure. No. Not everybody talking about how bad the game is, or it just simply being positively review bombed by some outlets that are out there, or people just trying to cope with it. It's like, well, the story's good even though the gameplay might be repetitive, or other people saying, well, they're villains, they're not supposed to be good people. Okay, all of this revisionist history, a massive cope that has been going on, hasn't ended up manifesting into any actual benefit for Rocksteady, for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Sales haven't gone up. It hasn't hit any charts at all whatsoever, except for, oh, gigantic failures. And we've got an inclusion on this one, and we've got some numbers here as well that just goes to show that gone are the days where audiences can be begged, belittled, shamed into supporting a product. They can be overt with their criticism. They no longer have to sneak anonymous looks and just say, I don't really like the choice that they made in Uncharted 4 to, make the, one of the major antagonists into this, the diverse woman with an unrealistic body type. It's like, oh no, you'd be a misogynist if you said that. Or just really being off-put with the big reveal at the end of that same game where, okay, cool, Nathan Drake finally settled down with Elena, and that Nathan's going to be, handing off his mantle to his daughter, which was supposed to be a son, but Neil Druckmann just, at the 11th hour decided it'd be a great idea to just go ahead and change it to a daughter for absolutely no reason at all whatsoever. What anybody heard rumors of Uncharted 4? Or I'm sorry, Uncharted 5? Yeah, no, exactly. And we are nearly 2 full console cycles deep, and we haven't heard hide nor hair of that. Just continue on with your re-releases. No, you can just come out and say, these games suck, they were written like ass, we don't have to support this stuff anymore. I love to see it, because I used to have a burning passion for video games, and now, well, there's one at the end of the month, which, guess what, ya boy, he finally, to just call back to another ancient reference, PS5 secured, baby. Your boy's going to be playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and I can't wait for it. I'm so excited for that stuff, and I'm going to share my overarching plans with that at a later date when we get closer to the release of that game, and I'm going to be going whole hog on that, but I think you guys are really going to like it. But anyways, that's another story for another time. We're talking about an abysmal failure, a huge failure in the fact that it couldn't be as popular as the previous title holder for abysmal superhero video game adaptations in Marvel's Avengers, which is kind of a fair comparison to make because they were both supposed to be these live service games leveraging large IPs, recognizable names, and then it's probably even more nefarious, more so with the Suicide Squad, and then it has the Justice League that's in there. You are leveraging also another established video game franchise in the Arkham series, well-regarded, well-loved by fans across the globe, as opposed to the first official video game foray for the Avengers to come out. And it was from an established studio in Crystal Dynamics, but they weren't really used to using those games. So I would argue that, Kill the Justice League is probably a bigger black eye than the failure that was the Avengers. But time will tell. Time will tell if its failure is complete quicker than the Avengers. But okay, Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League's peak players is less than half of those from other infamous live service superhero games, Marvel's Avengers. Yes, of course, justifiably so. As noted on SteamDB, a third-party website that tracks various data on Steam, Marvel's Avengers hit an all-time peak of 31,165 players on September 5th, 2020. September 5th, 2020. You basically had a captive audience within 24 hours of its launch. So basically, when the game is going to be its most popular. For most games, that's when it is. Obviously, you have some, games that do have rebounds, like No Man's Sky, Cyberpunk 2077. They just released, I think, at the tail end of 23. Phantom Liberty, I think that's their relaunch or something like that. Maybe it did better. I don't really know. I think the damage has probably already been done with CD Projekt Red and Cyberpunk 2077. But I know No Man's Sky found new life with its brand new relaunch and its constant updates. But yeah, those examples are few and far between. Most games have its biggest popularity over its initial launch weekend or its initial couple of weeks out there on the market. Now that we have the data for Justice League or Kill the Justice League. Yeah, it very much holds true that within the first couple of days of release, it was definitely its most popular. but popular is a bit of a stretch. The 24 hours after launch, game hit its all-time peak. Peak being so soon after launch is typical, usually being bucked in rare cases. But yeah, major updates or exposure via YouTube or social media. Yeah, exactly. You could have probably seen this a couple of different times, especially with like Among Us. I think Among Us, by the time that it got, to be a super popular streamable game, it already had been out for a while. Party Animals was something like that. I think Lethal Company. There's been a few meme games that a lot of people have picked up that ended up getting a much larger second life than its original incarnation. But yeah, like it says, few and far between. However, SSKTJL, I'll go with that one, even though, thank God, you put the title of the video game in a title and the video doesn't get demonetized, because, videos like this and videos like other people covering this stuff need to be seen by the public. And thankfully, looks like it has been, because it's working. It's working. Rewarding video games and companies like this for its disrespectful, boring, awful, atrocious anti-game that they put out there. Yeah, it's very much deserved. But yes, its peak only was 13,459 players. Oof. But yeah, there was other popular games, and I'm sure back in September of 2020, there was probably some other games that were popping at the time. And oh yeah, it was 2020, fall of 2020. Lockdowns were still very much in effect for very large swaths of the population around Earth. But yeah, steeper competition this time around, with Pal World breaking all-time records. It's like, yeah, but that serves a very different market, you'd think, right? Again, the day after its launch, and it only added salt to the wound, even the beta for Marvel's Avengers had an all-time peak of 18,900 players. 908 players. Don't want to discount the 8. Okay, on Steam. That's crazy. It didn't even hit the peak. Yo. Now, you can kind of see the numbers that are down there, okay? It has everything side by side, right? Even at the time that those screenshots were taken, just about 4,000 people were playing Suicide Squad as compared to the 200 people that were still clinging on. It's like, Avengers, it'll eventually be good. And it's like, no, it won't, with a peak of 225 people. But, 4 years ago, it hitting 31,000 as opposed to the 7,000 people in the 24-hour peak. But, 4,000 playing right now, where we'll have more live, or at least reasonably live data that's just going to show that it's been hovering anywhere between a consistent rate over the past week or so between 2,000 and 5,000. So it's not great. It's not great at all. It should be noted that it does not account for players on other platforms. Yes, of course, but we've also seen physical sales. Like, I've done a couple of videos on this subject, and guys, it's like nobody's buying this stuff. And if they are buying it, they're quickly finding a way to return their purchases. But the comparison is nonetheless yet another blow to Rocksteady Studios' latest game. The similarities aren't hard to draw. Both titles were reviled for their live service elements and currencies they featured, as well as other issues. And oh boy, there are a lot of issues. Like, the Avengers gameplay, it was just boring. That's just what I heard that was out there. And then, of course, the bait and switch where you promised to play the likes of Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, Black Widow, the Hulk, Spooderman, and then, of course, all of those lofty ambitions where they're going to be bringing in other members of the Avengers like Black Panther. But no. You get to play as Kamala Khan. Yay! So I guess the Marvels wasn't even the first project that she helped tank. The Marvel's Avengers would shut down 3 years after launch. Saw publisher Square Enix suffer $48 million in a quarter. It launched, closed down Crystal Dynamics, and then thankfully, which, you know what, I gotta give props to Avengers, which does end up circling back around to, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Got Square Enix out of the Western market, and it also kind of left all of its, Western influences, if you know what I mean, on Western shores. So thanks, Avengers. You did something there. Meanwhile, fans speculated that Rocksteady's next big project after the Arkham games was originally intended to be a live service game like the Marvel's Avengers. After it bombed, the developers supposedly adjusted to a game more akin to Destiny 2. If not that, the backlash from the trailers revealed the game's multiple currencies and requiring a constant online connection. Certainly made the point. At the time, the trailers were beset by an almost 3-to-1 dislike-to-like ratio. Oof. Plot leaks, tone-deaf handling of Kevin Conroy's final scene, and then that atrocious, that still makes my stomach turn. The thank you Kevin message at the end, which early incarnations of it had typos in it. Like, what are we doing, man? And the video game and harassment whistleblowers also at Rocksteady, oh boy, have also furthered any bad press the game already had. Now, I don't know anything about that, but hey, man, you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. You get rid of all of the people that made Rocksteady one of the great publishers in the sphere, and then you replace them with a bunch of, well, gender studies graduates and HR specialists. You get what you deserve. Initial reviews of the Suicide Squad were tepid at best, and the $100 deluxe edition couldn't grant early access. It was taken down for a few hours after a glitch, or rather a bug, ended up completing the game for you, just so you could get, fast-tracked out there to the store and to the live service elements of it. But like I said before, man, okay, no amount of controversy, astroturfed reviews, weird stuff happening over on Steam, which we looked at, and it's like even the positive reviews were going, yeah, don't buy this for $70, or this game is not great at all, but still giving it a positive review, and maybe some other allusions that maybe Steam is deleting some of the reviews that are on there, which would be definitely be a first for Steam and not a very good look. It's not translating at all to anybody playing this thing, because okay, I got Steam charts that are pulled up. Okay, it's a little bit different of a resource, but still, just as reliable as DB. It's just, a different metric. But here we have the official player count, and 13,490, or 459 is congruent, right? I do believe that it is congruent, yep, with the numbers that's over there on SteamDB. But yeah, peak count over the past 24 hours, just for, clarification's sake, I'm recording this at the tail end of the weekend. As you can see right there, we got numbers from the first 2 weeks, and ladies and gentlemen, it's hovering, right? Anywhere between, okay, right there. Last Sunday, it's first, I think that was the first official weekend of release right there, midday on Saturday or on Sunday, and then things just start to fall off. And then even during the week, getting at its high point to 8,000, but as the day started to go on, you're sitting anywhere between mid fives down there overnight to low twos, and then never really getting any higher than that. And then even over the weekend, right there on Saturday, when you'd anticipate things were at its highest, barely getting over 5,000 concurrent viewers, the past 24 hours, all through late Saturday into Sunday, 4,700 players. Like, bro, it's done. Even when the previous installment in the Arkham Knight series ends up beating the brakes off of you, a game that was released in 2015. And like I said, I used to be really passionate about video games, and this was something that was right there at the tail end of things. And Arkham Knight was definitely derided for its performance issues, especially on PC. Hell, it even instituted Steam's brand new, at the time it was brand new, refund policy, because it wouldn't work on a majority of rigs. And even when you got the game playing, everybody was just complaining about the bat tank. Like, it was nothing like the Arkham series beforehand. But now, thanks to this atrocious Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League, in the past 24 hours, over the past weekend, since the release of Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League, you can see an uptick. 4,000 players on the 4th, on that Sunday, cresting at 4,000. Then we got about a third of what the Suicide Squad was doing in its opening weekend, in its release weekend. And now you have higher view count, or you got higher player counts on the Saturday and Sunday in its second weekend in release, in its nearly decade-long release. All-time numbers. The general lackadaisical plateau of players, people wanting to go back to the good old days, superhero games, when video games in general didn't disrespect its heroes. It didn't disrespect its core characters in service of insufferability, in terrible mechanics, in predatory practices. They wanted to go back and play the games that they remember, that respected them as consumers and offered the experience that they were promised, not trying to shake them down for every last red cent. It's hilarious how quickly this game failed, and I'm so happy to see it, because practices like this completely drove me out of video games. But to just see this thing fail so spectacularly restores a bit of my hope in gamers. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.